power goes to your mind, what happens, and what happens when you become a really big person. That's what I really liked about this movie. And this movie is number 6 on the list, and it is The Social Network. Yes, David Fincher's brilliant take on how the Facebook was created, and how it went from just being this Harvard dorm room kind of website that was supposed to connect people in universities to being this huge social networking, mass media, frenzied, crazy, whatever you want to call it, it's fucking huge, and how it became that. You know, this movie is such an interesting movie because it is such a simple story of how a regular guy, a regular, awkward, kind of very shy, very socially incapable kind of guy in Marcus Zuckerberg, played by Jesse Eisenberg, brilliantly played by Jesse Eisenberg. If you watch Zombieland and other movies that he was in before Social Network, you wouldn't even think twice that he would do an excellent job. But in this movie, he just plays that kind of straightforward, I'm the creator of Facebook, I don't even care what you say, you could sue me all you want, but I'm still the creator. That's how I felt, you know. He played a very strong but very awkward character at the same time. It's very hard to do that. I've seen a lot of movies where they try to do that, where they play like this nerdish type of character, but then they always like turn out to be a different person by the end of the movie. Throughout this movie, Jesse Eisenberg does a brilliant job of portraying this man who was on a mission to kind of prove people wrong, become popular, but at the same time was losing his friends and losing the trust of other people, using people, and also like trying to make it as though that he was this type of person, but he was not. And that's what Rashida Jones's character at the end of the movie says. The lawyer that in the movie she plays Mark Zuckerberg's lawyer. She tells him that he's not a jackass, but he's trying to be a jackass. Throughout this whole movie, he's trying to be someone that he's not. He's looking up to people that, you know, are more popular than him. He's trying to prove a point by making Facebook and becoming popular. But at the same time, he's really lonesome. And the only good friend that he had was Andrew Garfield's character. Even then, he cheats him and like takes away his credentials from Facebook. And by the end of the movie, he's getting sued by his own friend. So you kind of feel like the kind of lonesomeness that Mark Zuckerberg has in the movie. Although, you know, when I read about stories after the movie came out, you know, Mark Zuckerberg and all the other characters in the movie that the movie's based upon, all of them have said that the movie just fictionalizes most of the events. Most of the events have never even happened, or they're just exaggerated. You know, I think that if David Fincher actually made a proper, you know, 100% let's do it realistically kind of movie about how they made Facebook, I think it would be a really boring movie. It wouldn't even be that great. But the great thing about this movie is just it fictionalizes some events, but makes it as though as you can believe that it might have happened that way. What I really liked about was Jesse Eisenberg's character, as I've already said. And I also liked Andrew Garfield's character. Andrew Garfield's character is kind of like that cool guy that you know. He's a nice guy. He is one of Mark Zuckerberg's probably only friends. And he pretty much supports him throughout the movie. And then when he finally finds out by Justin Timberlake's character. Now, before I talk about what happens to Andrew Garfield's character, I really hated Justin Timberlake in this movie. I don't know why he's still trying to act. I don't know why actors always seem to think that, you know, if Will Smith can do it, if Ice Cube can do it, if Queen Latifah can do it, I can do it too. I can become a singer, and then I can become this actor. Justin Timberlake can't act. I don't know why he still is pursuing an acting career. Just go back to music. Stop acting. In this movie, if there is one big negative, it is Justin Timberlake's character. I really hated his character. Throughout the movie, it felt like he was acting as though, hey, I'm in a David Fincher movie, and now I'm going to act my ass off, but I'm still going to act like Justin Timberlake is acting. You know, like when a person is trying to act like someone else, but they're still acting like themselves. It's kind of like how I feel like when Jack Nicholson is in a regular movie. He's like acting as though, what if Jack Nicholson did this character? That's how I felt like throughout the movie. He was supposed to play the creator of Napster, but throughout the movie, he kept acting as though it is Justin Timberlake playing the guy who created Napster. And he's trying to create this character, but, you know, that's the biggest, like, red mark in this movie. I really hated his character. If if the character was played by a different actor, I would have loved this movie a lot more. But I love this movie with all my heart, but Justin Timberlake just makes me cringe every time he's on screen. I just hate his character. And the ending scene where I'm going to talk about right now, where he's like, what's the chicken? Oh, what do you mean, the chicken? You know, he was not funny. He's stupid. And I don't know, whatever. That's my rant about how he should go back to music. But yeah, back to what I'm saying about Andrew Garfield's character. He's nice throughout this whole movie. And then his character starts to escalate into this anger mode and this kind of like, you betrayed me kind of idea. And when he finally snaps and when he like breaks Mark Zuckerberg's computer at the end, and he's like, I'm going to chase you for everything. That is where I think Andrew Garfield shows that he's an excellent character actor, because throughout this movie, he seems like a normal guy. He's a nice guy. He kind of understands what Mark Zuckerberg is going through. And then when he finally like snaps and when he takes control and he's trying to prove a point and is trying to do something so he can get back what he deserves, it shows the versatility that the young actor has. And that's what I really liked about this movie. There's this weird kind of combination between Jesse Eisenberg and Andrew Garfield's character. Both of them acted very well, and they have this kind of repertoire between them. You know, they're trying to like outdo each other in each scene, and I kind of see that. I really liked how David Fincher directed their scenes. They both talk like normal people, but they were acting in a certain way. It's very hard to explain, but then, you know, I think you might know what I'm trying to talk about. Throughout this movie, we get to see how Mark Zuckerberg, you know, went from being this like lonesome guy in Harvard to being this big person in the world. What this movie reminds me of is that, you know, normal people, when they're giving so much, you know, importance and when they're given so much stuff, what happens to them? How do they transform into the person that they are at the end of the movie? I really liked how they cut into the courtroom scenes, and not the courtroom scenes, the hearing scenes, and how we see like a mirror image of what Mark Zuckerberg is. In the scene before, in the past, we see him as like, he's trying to understand what's going through his life, what's happening, and how his life is changing because of Facebook. And then you see the hearing scene where he's pretty much, you know, laid back. He doesn't even give a fuck about anybody in the room, even the lawyers in the room. He hates them, and he pretty much says, you know, he doesn't even care what the questions are. He's just there to pretty much be there because the hearing is, he needs to be at the hearing. And I love the way Jesse Eisenberg just sat there, you know. He just sits there and he just looks at the people with like this dead kind of stare. He's not trying to act. It's as though he's just sitting there. He's like, yeah, you think I give a fuck? I'm just sitting here because, you know, I'm richer than you. I have the name. You know, take as much money as you want, but you're never going to become Mark Zuckerberg. That's how I felt about his character. He was so like laid back and the hearing room scenes that he was just like, I don't know. It kind of reminded me of some great actors in some other movies which had some similar storylines about how a regular person became this type of person at the end. Now, another thing that I liked about The Social Network was the casting. Now, the casting obviously had to be young actors because this is a social media movie. A movie about the biggest social media network in recent history, and I think probably in all-time history, because Facebook revolutionized the way we connect with people. And I think the first thing that David Fincher did brilliantly was picking people that were kind of known to teenagers and younger adults, so that when they go to the theaters, at least they know who they're going to see on screen. I think that's the main reason why he casted Justin Timberlake, because out of all the actors in this movie, the biggest person I would say would be Justin Timberlake in popularity-wise. So when you're going to see a movie and then they're saying Academy Award contention and Justin Timberlake, kind of gives you some intrigue. Like, and also, you know, Jesse Eisenberg was in comedies before this movie. He wasn't really a dramatic actor. And then when you see him in like a movie like Zombieland, and then when you watch him in Social Network, you see this drastic change in the way he's acting. Andrew Garfield as well. He's an up-and-coming actor at the time, and then he got cast as Spider-Man. So then, yeah, you kind of see David Fincher going in a way where he's trying to act, like trying to bring these like young actors to portray these characters. Also, you have Brenda Song, who was in the Zack and Cody shows on Disney. She was playing like a ditzy kind of stupid Paris Hilton ripoff character in those shows, and then you see her in the serious role in this movie. It's kind of interesting to see like the contrast in these actors. Also, Rashida Jones, who is known for The Office and Parks and Recreation, and some other like small comedy roles. It was also nice to see her in like this small role because she's like this audience member, like watching what's happening. She kind of gives us the voice that what we're thinking at the end of the movie. Zuckerberg is trying to be a jackass. That's what she tells his character at the end of the movie. You're trying to be a jackass, but you're not. You're just trying to be someone that you're not. And I think that the whole movie is just justified on the fact that throughout this whole movie, Zuckerberg did this all to be popular and to be like someone that he wasn't going to be. And at the end of the movie, I think one of the most devastating and the most saddest moments in the last 20 years in cinema history, in the last 20 years, is that moment where he's trying to add his ex-girlfriend and he keeps refreshing the page. I think every time I watch this movie, every time I see the ending, like where he's trying to refresh the page to see if she accepted or even denied his request, it's kind of devastating when you think about it. It shows how lonesome the guy is. Because he was trying to prove a point to his girlfriend at the beginning. He tried to prove a point to the Winkelkopf's and Andrew Garfield's character. And then by the end, you see him just all alone with that laptop and just like looking at the screen with this, I don't know, with this dead kind of stare. He just looks at it as though you kind of feel that he's a loner. He's still a loner. And throughout this whole ordeal, he hasn't changed. And that's what I really liked about that movie. And that there are so much powerful scenes that regular movies with this kind of story wouldn't have. I think that David Fincher, the way he portrayed this movie is not... He didn't make a movie about Facebook in a way. It's kind of like how I would talk about Moneyball. Moneyball isn't a movie about baseball. It's about the things that happen around you. This movie Social Network is not about Facebook in a way. It's about what happens to a person when power is given to them and how they treat the power. And I love the way that he portrayed it in the movie, and I love the way that he showed how this character transformed from being this loner to being this aggressive and very hostile loner at the end. So, that is my presentation on The Social Network. I hope you guys like it. It's a very nice movie. It's a very interesting movie. I know a lot of people don't like these kind of slow, biographical, based on a true story kind of movies. But this one's very different. It's very interesting. It is kind of awesome to see how something that we use every day, almost every day or every week, is portrayed on screen. There are a lot of things that happen behind the scenes when it comes to anything. And this movie shows that, behind every great idea is a great story. And this movie has such a great story. And I think, in my opinion, it deserved the Academy Award for Best Picture. King's Speech was a nice movie, but in my opinion, I think this movie did a really great job and a really nice way of showing how power gets into a person's mind, how, an idea could be as powerful as, as you think. I think that, in my opinion, this is one of the best movies of the last 20 years, and probably if you watch it again and again, like every month or every year or so, it gets better. So, hope you guys like it, and yeah, so I will see you in the next video. Take care, guys, and have a great week.